of the Penang Debating Championship. Congratulations for making it this far. All right, I'm just going to announce several house rules. So audiences, please keep your voices to minimum. Put your phones in silent. Keep your cheering to minimum as much as possible. Okay? All right, cool. With the motion, this house will ban tourism to countries with poor human rights records. Example, Indonesia, Turkey, and Qatar. Aku pun the Prime Minister. Here. Is it working? Oh, okay.
If I stay at this long mic, is it okay?
For me, it's okay.
I think it's okay, yeah.
The unfortunate world that we live in today, it's a world where justifies systematic oppression towards the inhabitants of the country. We find this world extremely regrettable, and today in the House, opening government today will be proving three things in our speech today. One is that we will be, in which side of the House will we be able to better mitigate the human rights abuse to the citizens? Two, in which side of the House is the concept principally justified? And three, in which side of the House will then bring about and will be more likely to bring about any type of organic change? To address this issue properly, it is important for us to look what are the human rights abuse that is relevant to our case today, that is to say tourism. Here's one thing, when you are in a sector of major tourism, the human rights abuse that are necessary is when the tourist business hires employees with extremely low wages, with extremely low safety standards for them to work for them. And they justify and say, if you do not work for us, you will start with that. We find this narrative to be principally wrong. Now with that, I'll prove that to you with two arguments of faith today. One is that funding. Why is this principally wrong? Because at the end of the day, the goal of tourism ultimately is to generate incomes for companies and to government. You do this by allowing a foreign currency to pour into your company. And from there, you'll be able to gain structured ability and economic power, economic financial stability for you to bring about more structures and more things. Now, here's the thing. The problem with this, we're not okay with, is that when the tourists come into your country, the message they are sending is that, okay, first, as tourists, I'm okay with reaping benefits and enjoying my life, bringing from the fact that it's spawned from the condition where other people are not treated right, not treated with the right footing as I am right. And two, I do not care about about your suffering as long as what I come here, as long as my sightseeing is very fulfilling. Here's the thing about why is this so wrong and what's the outcome of this? Tourism is a blooming industry in the world today. We can tell this because look at how many companies around. Look at your social media. How many people, every one of your friends are literally flying overseas everywhere and they are taking pictures happily. So as a result, you justify companies for them having low standard of employee rights. You justify it and you feel that their wish and you tell them that it's okay. It's okay to employ employees with lower wage. And then you give them more incentive to do this continuously because now with the money you have obtained from the tourists, the companies in charge of tourism can now bring forth more tourist structures for you to enjoy. And they do it so at the cost of human rights abuse, in which in this debate we define human rights abuse as unequal treatment to the employees of these companies hire. Here's the thing, moving on to the second frame of argument. Tourism is a fun thing for tourists. And this, we regret this by saying, this notion is further enhanced and campaigned in the wrong way by putting on social media. When you put on social media, you depict your best moments. You selectively put all your best moments onto your Facebook, onto your Instagram, because you want other people to know that you are having fun. Why is this wrong? Because tourists, at the end of the day, when you are having fun, aside from the message that you are sending, you are also not exposed to the injustice that these people suffer from. Instead, what you do is that you capture your moment of having fun and you attract by putting this on social media. You bring about other people. When people would be more incentivized to visit the place that they are going to, and we believe it's a cycle where the problem will never do anything, and human rights abuse will continue to strike and never ever be mitigated in our case. Whereas in our case, we tell you that even though it's a little bit extreme, it is okay to create an issue for the companies and the government. We are telling them that by doing this, we are stopping their flow of income. We are making them realize there is a problem for them to do now. And they are left with the options of either correcting their employee standards, or they are left with the options of losing their business forever. And this is further enhanced by the fact of this. Let's just take our Gulf case as the worst case. Our worst case scenario is that if the companies, their income, let's just say opposition might accuse us of saying the companies are now more incentivized for you to further lower down the employee standards, right? However, we tell you that this is a trade-off you're willing to make, because when you lower the wages and the standards even more, these employees will eventually reach a point where they can no longer stand it anymore, and they will campaign against the company. And why is this campaign so important? Because when you campaign, you garner attention, you garner discourse, you put attention of the spotlight of the country of Indonesia and Qatar. This kind of countries are rampant for political abuse. You put them in the spotlight, and you let international bodies like you and bigger authorities power to address this problem directly. So now in this world, the bigger international bodies, they will leave companies with two choices. It's like either one, you continue to violate upon the human rights and tourism will stop coming in, or two, you correct your cost and then you'll finally allow you to continue your business and this, right? And with all that reason, please go with me now.
All right. Thank you, Prime Minister, for that speech. To continue, let's call upon leader of opposition here.
Can you hear me? Mr. Speaker, we can see how from the opening government, we can see how they are taking things to the extreme method where they want to ban tourism the tourism industry as a whole, when they just don't know how much this tourism industry contributes a lot to this kind of countries which have pure human rights records. So before I extend to my case, I'll first go to the rebuttals first. Yes, we do agree that there are a lot of things happening where there are systematic oppression there, and then where people get low wages there, especially in the tourism industry, because they want to upgrade this, they want to uphold this. And also, when they say about how when their friends go into these countries, they only spot on the beautiful things. Yes, there are people that go there. The main reason people go for tourism is because they want to see beautiful things, right? But they don't include on how the whole general theme of when people go to tourism. Some people, when they go to tourism, they want to see things for themselves. They want to look at what is actually this country is. Some people, they go to the country because they want to look at the beautiful side. Maybe just because that their friends only look at the beautiful sides doesn't mean that there are actually people who are actually look at what is happening in the country, what is actually happening in this district. So from this we can see how it is actually true that people are looking at beautiful things, but they cannot deny that there are some tourists or some people that are actually going to these districts and then see what are actually going on in these locals. So also they stated about they want to stop their flow income. They gave two choices: stopping their flow income, and then second, fix their human rights records. So by saying this, it is actually really absurd, because when you stop the flow income in the country, where these four human rights records country, most of them are heavily invested in tourism. So when you stop this kind of funds to them, how can they ensure about the human rights of others? Which I will explain further in my points. So going to my points, which is that this where these tourists usually go to good places. So because the reason why they are going to good places, firstly, what they are talking about is the citizens of the country. For now, I'm talking about the tourists. The tourists are usually protected in themselves by the government of the country and the government of themselves. So I can't really see why the tourists are actually being denied to enter this country, because they are heavily protected by the government and then by their government also. We can see how just because they want to go to see these beautiful places, even in these abhorrent countries, doesn't mean that they cannot go just because they have pure human rights record. And also, we can see when we block this, just like I stated earlier, when we block these tourists from entering this country, we can actually stop the flow of the revenue of the economy, which is my second point. So if we stop it, the flow of the economy is disturbed. So when it is disturbed, they will actually not gain a lot more from the revenue of the economy. So, okay, firstly, when we see how they disturb this flow, you can see how they focus on the human rights of the tourists, of the tourism workers, where they see that these people get low wages and everything. But they don't think about the basic human rights that these people actually get, the citizens actually get. Basic healthcare, primary education, and then also how they are going to work for public transportation, for instance. Government, they give revenue to actually uphold these basic human rights. And also, yes, it is actually bad that low wages in the tourism industry should be fixed, but they should not leave out the other people who are not working in this type of area to actually make them living more dangerous. For that, yes. How in your side of the world would human rights abuse ever be stopped in this country? Okay, you're right. Yes, human rights abuse is happening, but on your side, you're talking about how it is abused in the tourism industry, where these kind of people are getting low wages or anything, and then there are a lot of people getting low wages and below minimum wages. But if you actually stop this flow of economy, the human rights records which will actually go way worse because of you're blocking the primary basic human rights, which I just stated earlier, primary education, and then basic healthcare, and then also public transportation, where this is actually much more detrimental to the citizens of the country themselves. So next, which I just stated earlier also in my rebuttal, is that tourists can see it firsthand, where if they actually go to this country, they can see what is actually happening on this country, because yes, there are actually videos where they publish on the internet for to bring awareness about this country and so on, but you can see how some tourists, some people, they don't believe what is actually happening on the internet, so they want to experience it firsthand. So the people that go there, they might actually learn about something, and then they actually see the systematic operations that are happening for themselves, so that they can actually make the betterment, or they can actually go back to their country and tell the people what is actually really happening. And then also, we can see how these people, some of them really want to experience it firsthand, so they can see the real condition of the country on totally what is happening. Because some on the internet may be too exaggerating, and some of it may be too little to detail. So from this, we can see how these people, they want to talk to the locals, they want to interact with the locals, and then they want to see how these poor human rights records are actually happening. We are not denying that this happened. We are not denying that the poor human rights is actually happening and it must be stopped. But from side government, it is actually truly abhorrent and truly to the extent where it will actually make the human rights case in this poor human rights record countries are going way worse. So with that, I want to say earlier that this what the government is proposing is to the extent of really bringing more harm to the country than actually making it better for themselves. So with that, I oppose this motion.
All right, thank you, Leader of Opposition. Continuous call for Deputy Prime Minister. Here.
The unfortunate world that we live in is a world where systematic oppression in some parts of the world is rampant, with dodgy strongmen that is extremely hard to topple, corrupt political officials that are entrenched in the power of this gender, and a general consensus that other people does not mean a single thing to them. We at OG fight this directly with both economic and ideological resistance. OG's action to this is threefold. How do we fight this rampant abuse of dignity in terms of outcomes? How do we fight the ideological war? And three, the trickle-down effect if we do let this tourism continue. Most of my remarks will be integrated, but there are some which I need to flag to you right now. What did OO tell us today? They told us that when tourists visit Indonesia, for example, they see beautiful things, but they also see the human rights abuse that go on. Ladies and gentlemen, on the balance of probabilities, if you go to Indonesia, where do you go? Do you go to the shopping malls of Jakarta? Do you go to the beaches of Bali? Or do you go to the slums of Penang? It's extremely unlikely, ladies and gentlemen, that the government will purposely expose these human rights exposures to these tourists in the first place, let alone the tourists going there on their own free will. Two, our alternative to tourists is investigative journalism. Investigative journalism that A, doesn't fund the government's initiatives in cracking down on their people, and two, go with professional cameramen, they go with translators, they interview the people who are being oppressed, they produce documentaries that are in HD for us to see that really capture the struggles of these people better than any tourist account that can possibly occur. Lastly, they tell us that by stopping this flow of money, we inevitably curb the human rights abusers. But ladies and gentlemen, in Qatar, right, when they're building the Louvre Museum, they literally gave these workers no healthcare, no water, no food. They forced them to build this museum for the tourists to see. Thus, we see that there's already little to no human rights in these particular countries. You cannot say that you can maintain the human rights on your side of the house either. See, going on to OG's expenses. I think everyone listening can agree, but by cutting off tourism, right, this is unfortunate, but individual pieces also to suffer as a result. They temporarily suffer as a result, they have less money. But that's a trade-off that we are willing to make, and I'll explain why. This is the only way we can transpire organic change. Number one, political strongmen such as Jokowi in Indonesia are unlikely to be toppled. Why is it so? They are entrenched in their own power, they are entrenched over their own political circles. Even if it's true that they can somehow be toppled by voting or whatsoever through democratic means, the alternative is very likely the political party that is still entrenched in these values because they can see that this is beneficial to their political standing, is beneficial to their lives. Therefore, we see that this, the human rights abusers, in this case, there are no alternatives to solving the problems other than this huge movement that's going on. Firstly, even if business owners on the ground are suffered by this, we say it's okay in the trade-off. How can we work? The point at which we stop funding is a massive stopper on the economy of these particular countries, such as Bali, Indonesia, for example. What are the outcomes? Number one, if you have less money in the government, it means that you have less money to build tourist attractions and attract more tourists. Why is this good? Number one, there are less. You definitely fund less police forces. You fund less lawmakers that are willing to make policies and clamp down on human rights movements. Thirdly, that is the point at which, when business owners feel the pinch of being poor because there's less tourist influx into their business, that is the point at which they fail to put the news on the table. That is the point at which they take up their flags and they start lobbying the government. That is the point. When you feel the desperation of being poor, that is the point at which these business owners will realize that, oh, these tourists are not coming to the country because my lawmakers are fucked. That is the point at which you start to lobby. And this applies to international movements as well, ladies and gentlemen. Number four, international movements such as Amnesty International, such as the United Nations. When you notice that tourists are not coming to these countries, okay, for example, the Middle East Qatari embargo. When Qatar was accused of funding ISIS, five prominent Arab nations stopped funding their oil, their petroleum industry, and that's the point at which Amnesty International, that's the point at which UN realized that we need to clamp down on this policy, that we need to start taking action. The point at which there is massive political change, that is which can transpire human rights lobbying and similar moments. They will free these people out of poverty. Moving on to verifying how this movement will transpire. In terms of ideological support, William has told you extensive analysis. The point at which you step into the museum that was built upon by trampled tourists, that is the point at which you consent emotionally to building this museum. That's the point at which you show support. If you go to the museum and take selfies there, it shows the world, I'm having fun in this museum that was built by people who were oppressed. This narrative is extremely dangerous to show to the world because number one, it shows you support that, and two, you don't transpire organization, and three, you further entrench those perspectives in German. Next. exactly do we topple these governments? Number one, through democratic means, you vote them out because people feel the pinch of being poor. Number two, through human rights lobbying, you enact policies that by pressure on these international bodies. But three, and most importantly, the point in which your economy suffers, that is the point in which other countries, they will start to ask for, like for example, loans from the United States, for example, and the United States tells them, no, you cannot have this loan because they've been oppressing these people for so long. That is the point in which these countries will finally enact audit that will help these people in need. Ladies and gentlemen. Conclusion in all these arguments is simple. You stop the funding, you transparent organizations like saying that look, we have a problem, it needs to be solved immediately, and then that is the point at which you lobby, that is the point where you stop support, that is which the structures that are built by these oppressive communities can finally depend on because there's less money to fund them, and it's easier to break on the barrier to sell these people out of human rights abuses. That I can never stand on the side of things down.
Thank you, Deputy Prime Minister, for that speech. To continue, let's call on the leader of opposition. Here.
Ladies and gentlemen, debating on today's motion, which this House will ban terrorism to countries with poor human rights records, coming from the opposition, who totally oppose to this motion, understands how it is actually harmful for these countries with poor human rights records in the first place. Ladies and gentlemen, before I go into my points, a few rebuttals. Ladies and gentlemen, as we see what the kids bring from the open government, it is said that they believe by banning tourism, they actually give this narrative to the society that when they ban tourism, people will actually not consider it as a good country because of the pure human rights record that's being practiced there. Ladies and gentlemen, they believe when you actually let tourism continue in this country, the economy will be increased, and then these people will continue deprivations against the human rights in those countries, and then these human rights will be further deprived because they are being narrated to the other countries. We find out how there's one key scenario as you can see, but we can't forget the consider fact when we believe when you ban tourism, we believe that when the economy falls, when you will deprive these people, the people of the country furthermore. Why is it legitimate? Because as we have all agreed in this house today, that tourism are the biggest revenue to actually contribute to this country, to their economy. And what does the economy have to do with society? Economy has to do with the stability of the society. So we believe by further plunging their economy into the hole, these people will be deprived more. For example, if they don't have enough revenues for their economy, people won't be educated more, and people will be stressed out from their basic through their basic education, basic need for shelter, and so forth. So this will cause more people to feel that they're not in the same society, no sir. And then these crimes will continue, no sir. And then people will be more discriminated. So this is what we fear coming from side opposition. We fear by plunging this economy, people will actually give access. There will be more circumstances that the society won't agree to the human rights of their people. No sir. So then continue. The narrative of social media is very stereotypic. How people only post stuff on the media narrating that these countries are good. That's the reason why we actually opt for people to actually go to these countries with human rights instead of actually just social media. Why is that legitimate? Because when people actually go to these countries with pure human rights, they can actually see firsthand on what these countries really are legitimate. Yes, there are existence of people showing good side of the country, but we can't deny the fact there are people who are actually concerned when they go into these kind of countries, and this is when from that point from that point, this is when discussion will occur. And this is what we want, legitimate. We want discussion on human rights about these countries to their own social media, legitimate. So what you're saying is totally biased. But before that, let's
Don't you think investigative journalists posting on Facebook is enough to generate all the benefits you talking about in yours?
Thank you, sir. Now going that, I will be real my third rebuttals, which is how they say that documentaries are better. This is a gentleman. When even if you were to go for a documentary, how much part of your documentary is going to be shown on TV shows and social media is given. We believe that these private companies that which make documentaries, they are profit oriented, legitimate. So knowing that to the fact that they're actually showing bad sides of the country, they find that it's going to be a reason where they believe when these big countries, for example Qatar and so forth, they actually do not like these documentaries to be posted. So we find that not very effective, no sir. And then when they say when they ban people from going to tourism, people they're banning how actually this can be better to fix human rights management. Because the main concern of this house right now is how actually tourism affects how a country to actually practice their human rights in the country estimate. So with that, I will go through my points. I believe our first-hand experience of these tourists going to countries is very effective estimate, and what we should not look away from this. First of all, first-hand experience is estimate. We believe that when you go into a country that's very prestigious, for example Qatar, also for the very beautiful Indonesia, usually who are the tourists? We believe that we all agree that these tourists are people who have money, who are rich people. Estimate. We find that a gold ticket to actually help us to actually promote human rights and to actually promote more discussion on human rights on this country. Why is that legitimate? Because when these people they actually go legitimate, you find that these people are the cartoons who, when they see the real side of this country, they actually come back to their country and get more access to discussion. Because coming from side opposition, when this discussion, when they ban tourism, they're actually closing the door for this discussion to happen more tightly than it already is, ladies and gentlemen. So we find it's very problematic. So not only that, when we find that these people who are, for example, these rich tourists, when they go to a country, not only that, we believe that these people are those who are very concerned in the first place, because we believe that these tourists, they come from a country that human rights are being practiced goodly. But when they compare with the country they go, it sparks concern in them, and that's when discussions happen. And that's what we see. And not only that, these people who go to our country really are those who are very influential, because of the status that they bring with them. So when you are being influential, the more people are going to discuss with you, a more serious discussion on how human rights are supposed to be practiced in the countries, and that's where more discussion between other countries with that certain country in conference will be held. So what has said of opening opposition happened today? We have answered the question on how banning tourism to countries with human rights can be very harmful, and not only harmful, it can cause more bad effects to the country that is already is. And we believe that this is actually a chance for discussion to happen, so that when people take more concern on the human rights in those countries, because without this discussion, without this real exposure, and without a better narrative, and you banning closing door for this narrative, the real portrayal of this country to happen, you're actually banning these countries for telling them that they are not okay, and we need other people to see what's happening to our country. So coming from USIM, we have never been called to uphold human rights.
Thank you, Dialog, for that speech. To continue, let's call for member of here.
Is it on?
I don't think it's on.
I don't think it's on. The button?
Hello?
Yeah.
I'm using my voice. I'm using my voice.
Taking away tourism is bad. That is what side opposition wanted to contend. We from CG will tell you it is even worse if you allow problems on the ground to keep manifesting under the guise of tourism to begin with. That is something that we think is morally abhorrent. So under CG, I'm going to give you two extensions. One, how is it that the glamorization of tourism guises the actual problems that are faced by people on the ground? And secondly, how changes will be more likely to happen and more likely to manifest with the banning of tourism under like CG, right? But I think we have to do a bit of deeper characterization here, right? Because what do poor human rights entail? I think this is something that wasn't explained very, very well by OG, right? What do we see in countries with poor human rights records? We see stuff like, low education rate, stuff like overly tight government control or government tyranny over the people. We have bad women's rights record, LGBT communities being oppressed by religious communities, and also how minorities in general are just not catered to in terms of the stuff that we think they deserve to have, right? So these are systematic oppression within these countries that we think we should all look into, and therefore the best way to ensure that we make sure these countries change is by ensuring that we stop people from going to these countries as tourists at the very first place, right? My rebuttals will be integrated, but I think this biggest contention about how economic development is important in upholding basic human rights. We're going to tell you from CG, one of the biggest things that we're going to contend for is how economic development is independent of efforts to improve human rights in the human rights record on the ground at the very first place. You hear stuff like LO saying that once you take away the tourism revenue, reduce the ability of the government to be able to uphold these human rights, right? But we tell you this is something that's not true. Why? Because economic development, this is the first extension, economic development, while it may facilitate human rights improvement, it is not the deciding factor for human rights improvement. What do you mean by this? Because if it really is true that massive revenue is important in upholding human rights in the first place, we wouldn't be seeing news like government tyranny, religious oppression, or systemic oppression happening in countries like, say, Indonesia, Qatar, and these countries, and so on and so forth, right? So I think there's a very, very important distinguishing factor that we have to make in saying that, by taking away economic revenue, these countries will not have a chance to uphold basic human rights at the very first place. We think that is not true. I'll get to that later in my extension, right? So another characterization that they wanted to bring forth is the fact that people would go there, tourists would go there and actually see problems that are faced by people on the ground. So number one, I like to think that more often than not, people go to these countries for reasons independent of struggles of the people on the ground. For instance, they go to these countries to visit beautiful scenery, experience culture and stuff like that. But even if people were to like to use it under your side to go to these countries based on humanitarian reasons, we tell you that number is significantly less proportionate compared to the huge amounts of tourists that will go to these nations as a result, because they want to experience culture or see beautiful places at the very first place, right? So, what does the glamorization of tourism bring to you? The glamorization of tourism guises the actual problems that are faced by people on the ground. So, what do we mean by this? We're going to tell you from CG that more often than not, people, exactly what they do is they go to the places that are tourist attractions within these countries. They go to these places, and other places, like more poverty-stricken areas and more oppressed areas, are ignored, right? So what happens? Number one, they don't go to these places at the first place, and secondly, they don't actually get what are the struggles on the ground, what are the struggles faced by people that are living in all of these places, right? So I think it's very very intuitive but unlinked for you to say that once people go there, they automatically understand these struggles without analyzing that this is the stuff that actually happens, right? So this is something that you have to deal with. Right. So, second extension, how change is more likely to happen with the banning of tourism, right? We're going to distinguish ourselves from OG and tell you very specific ways as to how changes can happen. So this manifests on 2 layers of analysis, right? So number one, people on the ground will band together and engage in discourse about why is it that their country has been banned or sanctioned in the very first place. So what do we mean by this? Once these relevant countries are being sanctioned from being tourist countries, what happens is that people on the ground will come together. People who are oppressed by the government will come together and discuss about why is it that people are not being allowed to come into the countries. They will start to understand because they are engaging in discourse with one another about oppression and problems that are faced by people on the ground, right? So what happens after this? They can bring all of these up to authorities and government within the ground in a more aggressive manner. Because what happens now is they don't have tourism opportunities to grow their business and so on. So now they have more of a legitimate incentive to be aggressive towards the authorities and push for a concrete change within the human rights movement within their nations, right? This is something that's very, very important. Second layer of analysis, authorities now have the pressure to actually look into existing legislations within the governments, right? So this means they will have the pressure to actually look into reviewing existing laws or enact policies that cater to the pertinent groups within the state. This manifests in the form of enacting more circular laws, enacting laws that protect welfare for the minorities, enacting anti-discriminatory legislations. All of these things that are trying and aimed towards improving the human rights record of the people on the ground. These are stuff that the authorities will be pressured to do, considering the fact that people on the ground are disadvantaged now because of the lack of tourists that are presenting business opportunities for people on the ground. And we tell you, even if authorities do not have the ability to do so, at least they're able to also reach out to international bodies that are aimed at championing humanitarian efforts, such as the United Nations. You can go to all of these bodies at an international level and seek help to improve human rights records on the ground, to one day secure their tourism status back and ensure that people on the ground can experience business opportunities by all of these tourists that come to their countries and the very first place. What have I told you? I told you that economic development is independent of human rights improvement, but more importantly, that the glamorization of tourism guises issues on the ground, and also how change is more likely to happen once you ban tourism on these countries. Never been brought into propose. Go with get CG.
All right. Thank you, closing member of GAF for that speech. To continue, let's call upon member of all. Here. Huh? Tomorrow. Tomorrow morning.
Ladies and gentlemen, our goal as opposing opposition is first, we want for developing countries to at least survive this economic condition. And second of all, when we are finally able to survive, our nation can finally step out of this developing nation status and finally improve our country and become a developed one. Right? And the opening benches have kept talking about the social medias, tourists or documentaries, and we said that this is not the exact problem that we should be talking about, and government has missed a lot of vital points. What they should prove to us is first, they have to justify why taking innocent people's rights in that country is okay, even though they have done nothing wrong. Second, government needs to explain to us how that the developing country can still survive this economic crisis, even though they are taking their tourism rights. And third of all, who is going to ban this in their case? Because we find it funny that Indonesia is going to ban their own tourism, right? They have never stated to you who is exactly the actor who are able to ban this, right? And the first rebuttal towards the opening government is that they have stated to you that the companies in this tourism sector are caring about these employees at all. We have two responses towards this. First, society is the one who chooses what they want to work for, and that is their choice to work there. And if they get abused, they always have the choice to opt out of that kind of thing. And we say that low-class people are usually the ones who go into this kind of labor work, right? And we say that they are already grateful enough to get a job and to get a job in a country that has very minimal work field, right? And even if overworked or abused or else, we say we have already stated that they can quit whenever they want. And the second response towards this argument is that we say companies in tourism care very much about images, right? Because they are big companies who are involved in tourism. They are scared to get bad image, and image is what is the most important thing for a company to keep going. They will always uphold these workers' rights because they are afraid that society will see them as a bad company and eventually they will lose profit, right? And we say that because of this fear, they will not do it. And we say that this is an irrelevant argument for opening company. Coming to my second rebuttal from the opposing government is that they say that there will be a discourse that is going to happen in their case. And there are two responses towards this. First, sure, this discourse can happen in their case, but discourse is already there even in the status quo. Because why do we say this? Because countries are already aware of these kinds of cycle. They already know that human rights are very limited in their country, and they are already trying to make a change. That is why status quo is very progressive. Because countries are also afraid of their bad image, and we do not understand why these kinds of extreme policy is needed to create a discourse, because it's already there in the first place. And the second response towards this argument is that even if we accept these kinds of premise from the opposing government, the ones that is truly going to involve in this kind of discourse are only the low-class people, because the other high-class people do not want to be involved in any problems of the country, right? Because we can see that the high-class people in this country are very individualistic. They only stay in this kind of developing country even though they are capable of moving to another developed country, because they think that there is something beneficial for them to stay in this developing country. And we say that if they think that this discourse is not going to benefit them, they will not even participate in this kinds of discourse at all. And we say this argument has been taken down by us. So today I will be explaining to you why their case will always fail, and why if we stick to status quo, we will be all right and keep improving. So first of all, in their case, they punish the society and even the innocent actors who are not doing anything. And we say that as a developing country, you need money and economic condition, which is very crucial for the survival of this developing country. So there are three reasons why they are going to fail with this kind of policy. First, the low-class society itself. They are the ones who work for this kinds of company, right? So if you ban tourism, you're actually going to close up the work field for these kinds of low-class people. And we say that work field is extremely crucial for developing country because that is very limited in our country, right? And what does this mean? If you are already limiting their work fields, it means that they are going to do much more crimes and even taking even more human rights than it is right now. So we are actually going to lower their economic development and also our country as a whole, and we are going to be underdeveloped. And the worst thing that will happen is we could become underdeveloped. The second actor that I'm going to explain is about the high-class society, because the company who control this tourism sector will going to lose their rights to open up a business in this sector. And what will happen? Because they do not have any purpose and they feel like there is no benefit to staying in a developing country. and because they are money oriented, they can easily leave this kind of country to live in another developed country, which is beneficial for them. Because of that, they're going to leave this country, and there will be no more benefits for them to be in this kind of country. And the third thing, why they will fail, is about the international world itself. Because when you ban this, it's going to be controversial, and the whole world is going to know about this kind of country. So what does that mean? This country gets a label that says pure human rights, right? So we say that it actually affects bilateral or multilateral relationships between these countries, because it's very bad for developing countries to get a bad image, because it actually disrupts the relationships between you and a developed country, because you need a lot of help from developed country. And we say that it's going to be very bad if they cannot get any more help, right? And no, sorry. So we say that what will be left in their case is that first, there will be only the downfall of economical condition, and second, higher crime rates for lower class people, and third of all, in the end, it's the destruction of this country, resulting to the destruction of rights of people who live in a proper country. And we say that there are more tangible harms in their case. So what will happen in our case? In the low-class society itself, we understand that they also do crimes and robbery in this case, but at least the status quo is more progressive. There are more law enforcements for these kinds of low-class people. Government is trying to protect them more than ever before. At least there is process, even though it is slower. And we say that as a developing country, we must push continuously to improve, even though it is slow. And for the high-class society, we say that they do not. We say that because they think that it is still beneficial for themselves, they will still be able to uphold their rights, which is to open a business. And because they are the ones who control this tourist aspect the most, we say that there will be mutualism in both government and also the high-class society. So the conclusion of staying in status quo, first, we let the progress be, and second of all, law enforcement, labor protection, and etc. is still progressive, and the protection will always keep going to improve. And third of all, we minimize the risk, but we maximize the progress of a developing country. And we say that it is far much more beneficial because there is not much tangible harm. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Member of All, for that speech. To end the debate from Gaf here.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming from the closing government, we see this debate as something very, very simple and something just it's straight to the point. When we from closing government see whether economic development is important or human rights is important, right? So this debate comes down into two main questions, right? So first question, which side upholds or protects the human rights better, right? And the second question, important question would be, which side pressures the government to take action immediately to better the human rights on the spot, right? Not unlike some cases that is painted by the opposition that doesn't require immediate action, as if like everything is sweet and nice under their paradigm, right? Okay. So the opening opposition came up and said that the people in their country still have basic human rights, by basic education, and they even said like they have access to public transportation and all that, right? Even if they still have that, we believe that it is still not better for people of your country just to sit and settle with what they have. And at the end of the day, why is your country still labeled as not having enough human rights, right? Okay. And the second thing that the opposition came up and said was that tourists can see what happened and tourists can see, if the tourists came to the same country, they can see what happens to the people on the ground. We from closing government think that is completely bullshit, right? Okay, so they said, then the CG comes out and the CG says that it allows public discourse and all that crap, right? So that is bullshit. So even if discourse were to already happen, right, prior to banning, we tell you that by banning, you directly paint a bad image and you push the public under our paradigm, right? You push the public towards the point of pushing for change. That is when it truly change happens, right? Under their paradigm, people are not pushed towards change. Under our paradigm, closing government's paradigm, we say the government, by the government just outright banning tourism, they're just biting the bullet, right? By the government just outright banning tourism, it's the right step towards bettering their human rights. Okay? So the OG came up and did a pretty decent job of covering up like the employees who are their main stakeholder was employees in the first part of the argument. So, but how is CG different from OG, right? So CG came up and CG actually showed the concern towards the people on the ground, right? And how do we show our concern towards the people on the ground? We take on the point, the new perspective, like my government member said, the glamorization of tourism. Now, this is like a chain reaction. The moment a nation is glamorized, for example, if you go to Turkey, it's exotic, right? The moment a country is glamorized, it actually deters the tourist perspective or the people's perspective from actually what is really happening in that country. So tourists visit countries to explore, to have a good time. They, by the logic presented by the opposition, they say that the tourists will actually care and go and see what's happening in the slums. We think it's bullshit. Do you think tourists want to come and then just actually spend their money to go see the slums? No, tourists come to exotic countries as painted by that to actually have a good time, right? So that is actually counterproductive. That's what we say. Okay. Now moving on. To which side pressures the government to take action to better the human rights to have that urgency? Clearly, it's closing doors, right? Because we have already said ban tourism, just ban it, and we acknowledge that tourism is one of the major income for the country, right? So when you ban something that is major, the country has no way except to go and actually tackle the root of the problem, which is the human rights. So if they go and better the human rights, they can get back the status of their tourist country. We are saying for once the country should prioritize human rights rather than money, right? So we see economy and human rights as a completely different thing. So by doing that, we actually create a situation where there is desperation, there is urgency, there is a need for change. That is what we from CG are pushing for. We cannot wait anymore as painted by the government. We cannot, we are not enough with what we already have. We deserve more. So, with what we are proposing from closing government, we can guarantee change will happen because of the urgency that is triggered, right? So, so what have CG come and told you? CG said, economy, just outright ban it. We beat the bullet, just outright ban it. Human rights, for once, human rights should be prioritized rather than economic development. They are completely two different things. And obviously, human rights should be tackled first, and the government the country should know their priority. So with that, go with closing government. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Governor, for that speech. To end the debate, let's call upon opposition with here.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are not prioritizing money over our citizens. What we prioritize is the survival of this nation because we believe that that is the urgency inside this kind of nation. And I will further tell you why the mechanism won't work at all. But what we want to achieve at the closing opposition is that we want the survival of these developing nations, right? Because and after the survival, we will focus more on the constitutional problem because we think that right now survival is the current burden and the priority of the developing nation and the government, which is why their law is not that strict and human rights abuse happens, right? But after this, we can actually focus more on the constitutional, which is the human rights law, and we think that it is more effective rather than mechanism in banning all the tourism at all. And all the government measures never really tell you how the mechanism will make a better human rights protection, right? Because all my member has already told you that it will only lead to further harm. But first, I will rebut the opening government and then the opening and the closing government, and I will tell you why we should win this debate. First of all, they stated that there is human rights abuse, okay, and they want to do it because they will stop the flow of the income. They think it will really bring a deterrent effect, right? But the major question is this: how will by taking your rights to open a business and get income, we lower the chance for them to make human rights abuse, right? Because let's be honest, the only outcome that we can get is this: tourism not become our source of income anymore, and the private industries that for tourism will go bankrupt, and their employees suffer more because, like what we told you, the tourism is one of the biggest income in the developing country, right? So what do we get? There are only two actors that get harmed. First is the employees of the industry, and second is the society, right? Because first, let's see the hard actor, which is the employees. You all already know that they suffer from human rights abuse, right? Which is the low wages. We have already established this in this debate. And yet, because of the government's policy, they suffer twice because now they lose their job and become unemployed. It is hard to get a job in this kind of work because of the competition, right? And it will only worsen their sustainability, and their basic needs will become no thank you. Then they are the main actors that get punished, and this is so wrong because they are not the ones who are making this abuse in the first place, and it is not justified for them, and it will not create a better world for them in the future, right? And second of all, their society will be harmed because the tourism industries will get shut down because they have no chance to get profit in this country, right? The impact is towards the society inside this developing country because they lose the tax that is from this kind of industry, and it will lower the income to the government, and in the end, society will become in an economic crisis, which is not justified to punish the whole nation just because some of the criminals inside this country, right? That is what the no thank you opposition is trying to stand for. And second, their biggest point is about social media, how they always portray happy moments inside the tourism, but they never show you the suffering that they have. But there are three responses to that. First, the picture of social media that shows happy moments are simply a form of feedback they have a nice experience inside this tourism spot, right? What does this even have to do with emotion, right? Because there are just personal experience by customers that are very subjective, and they can just take it too seriously and say that it only portrays good things. And second, it is a form of promotion towards this tourism spot that doesn't have a tangible heart because it actually brings you more customers inside the future, and it increases your income, right? And finally, when you increase the income, you will hire the wages of the employees, right? And third of all, even if, for example, it portrays the suffering, what will the social media users react to this? Nothing, right? Simply people in social media won't do anything because the matter is the internal problem of the country that they cannot interfere. Okay, they try to help spread the awareness, but what can they do that can actually make a change inside this about the human rights violation, right? We don't see the relevancy into this debate and how it will help this kind of country in actually solving the problem, right? Which is why we think that the OG never show you the justification. Why it is okay to harm all the people inside the nation because of the violation made by some people? No. And second, their mechanism is by stopping the income and lobby of the human rights. But if you really shut the tourism, the main concern for government is to fulfill your daily needs for the citizens and not the lobbying the human rights law. So we think that it won't work. But coming to the closing government, second, two things that they say. First, right after the ban of the tourism spot, there will be a certain discourse as to why people doesn't come to their country anymore, and then they will push the government to change the law and make a better human rights protection and blah blah blah. But we think that this is less likely to happen. The moment society knows that one of the country's income is blocked, they will be panicking, right? Because if we step into the shoes of the society inside these countries, the moment you know that one of the income is blocked, what comes to their mind is how they are going to survive after that. How will they live after this? How will they get wages after this? rather than prioritizing the discourse that will happen, society will more likely prioritize their own individual survival in the future, right? So again, the main concern will always be the survival and the lobbying of human rights won't happen because they are not focusing on that discourse rather than their survival. And in the end, seeing that the society is panicking, the government will always prioritize and calming down the society by increasing the economical strategy and policies, right? So we think that the lobbying of the human rights will least likely to happen in that case. And second, they stated that their mechanism is if this is work because it will push the public to change. You risk the whole country's survival for this, ladies and gentlemen. What they get is that the societies distrust you because you make them suffer more and not actually protect them, right? And we think that it will make a bigger crisis, which is rioting, because the society doesn't trust you anymore. And the government will not be able to control the society because there are too many problems. First is just the politics, because different countries has unstable politics. And the second, now the economy. And now the society too, they are actually backlashing you. Are you going to make a better world because of their mechanism? No, thank you. And now, why do you think that the status quo is better? First, we don't have the progress of the developing countries that is currently working in the status quo. Second, we uphold the law enforcement and labor protection that really punishes the targeted criminal of human rights violation, not the whole nation. And third, we minimize the riots and maximize the progress. And they state that the economy and human rights. The last wave stated that economy and human rights are two different things. Yeah, this is actually what we're standing for, right? They are giving an adequate punishment to the country because the economy and human rights are not something that should be mixed anyway. That is actually our stance. So they are citing us. But let's take the comparison as why the closing opposition should win, right? We think that the government side failed to tell you how and who will be acting as the government in this case to actually punish this kind of certain nations, right? And second of all, they never justify to you why this is the adequate punishment for the country. And lastly, how it will actually improve the human rights system in the country, right? And the CG only tells you a certain extension that we already rebutted off. So we think that they cannot win, and the OO focus more on rights and tourism and discussion that will happen. But what do we actually tell you is that we already tell you the harms of what we get from this kind of motion, and we think that we should win because we already pointed out how they backlashes with their mechanism backlashes with their goal, and it will not happen, and it will only make a worst case scenario at the end of the day, which is why we are not opposed. Thank you.
Alright, thank you for that speech. Thank you so much for an excellent debate. You guys can cross floor, shake hands, and we will be right back. You guys can just oh my god.
It's okay. Sorry.
No, sorry. Okay, let's go. We go.